What's up, traders? Zach here from the Trading Network. Hope you guys are doing well. I am back with yet another weekly market profile forecast for both the ES and NQ futures markets. So let's waste no time. Let's dive right in here. Starting with the NQ session profile, I will talk about some major areas of interest I will be looking at moving into the beginning of the week. And then we will move on into the weekly profile for NQ. And I'll do the same for the session and weekly profiles on ES. So what I will be looking at most importantly on NQ is going to be reaction to Friday's high. If you guys watch these videos often, you'll know that especially if we are opening up around a prior session's high or low, that is typically going to be my line in the sand level moving forward into the first regular trading hour session of the week. So because we are currently operating around Friday's high at 12,329, that is going to be my most immediate area of interest. If we can hold above this level here at 12,329, call it 12,330, then we are very likely to see upside pressure into some weekly levels that we will go over in just a moment here. And if we do not get acceptance above Friday's high at 12,330-ish, then I will be looking for a move down to Friday's value area high at 12,265. If that cannot hold and act as support, look for a move down to Friday's POC at 12,220, and then I would look for a move down to 154 and then 12,111 if 12,220 can't hold. Now, 12,220 is Friday's point of control, and that is lining up within about 4 points of Friday's initial balance high. So if I zoom into the profile here, you can see we have Friday's IB high at 12,224, and we have Friday's POC at 12,220. So that's going to be a very important area to keep an eye on if we do dip back down into Friday's profile. I will point out that we have some single prints here on the profile between, let's see, what is this? Between basically 12,250 and 12,240-ish. So if we break 12,250 to the downside, I think it's very, very likely that we see a test of Friday's POC at 220-ish. And then, as I mentioned just a moment ago, if that does not hold up, look for a move down to 12,154, I would say, most immediately. And we could see a reaction at 172 as well. That's the regular trading hours high from February 28th. So that is what I will be looking at most immediately on NQ from a session profile perspective. Now, when it comes to the weekly profile, what I will be looking at if we do see some upside pressure, first and foremost, is a move not up into last week's high, because that's 329, but into the prior week's high, the high from February 20th. Now, that weekly high is 395. So my thought is, if we can move and hold above last week's high at 12,330-ish, then we are very likely to see a move into that 12.4K. Technically, 12,395 is the high from the week of February 20th. And you can see that we have some stacked up value area lows from the weeks prior to that. So the value area low from the week of February 6th and the value area low from the week of February 13th, 12,433 and 12,420. So we have less than 15 points separating those two levels right there. So that's going to be a very important area to the upside as well if we do see that continued upside pressure on NQ. And a move above 12,430-ish, I think, gets us a much larger move into this naked POC up here at 12,540. So if we see continued upside pressure, or if we see any upside pressure starting into the week, if we get acceptance, if we hold, especially, let's say that we hold most of tomorrow's session above Friday's high or above last week's high, because that was Friday's high, we are very likely, or we might even see that test tomorrow of 395. I will say that I think it's actually likely that we see a test of 12,395 if we do move and hold above last week's high at 329. I think it's likely we see that test tomorrow. Now, if we get, a pretty decent move, we could very likely see a move into this 12,430 area tomorrow as well. And of course, nothing is out of the question, but that 12,540 area would be quite a bit of a larger move to get towards that naked POC. And just to be clear here, that is the naked POC from the weekly profile of February 13th. So that is what I will be looking at on the upside. And on the downside, on a larger scale, a break below 329 likely gets us a larger move to 250-ish. You can see here we've got some good confluence between 243, that's the weekly low from February 6th, 265, that's That's the weekly low from the 13th of February. And then we have 243. Once again, that's the value area high from the week of February 20th. So 3 levels stacking up there within a pretty tight range. So if we do break back into Friday's range, or Friday's range and last week's range, rather, I think it's very likely we see a test of 265 and then 243. And once again, on a larger scale, a break below 243 likely gets us a test of 150, which is last week's value area high. And if that does not hold up, I'll be looking towards 120-ish, which is a POC from not only January 30th, but also the week of February 20th as well. So there's some good confluence for price to move to that area if we see downside pressure on NQ. So with all of that said, let's hop on over into the ES session profile. Very, very similar situation here. Friday's high is basically going to be my most immediate line in the sand. Hold above Friday's high, going to see very likely some upside levels on the ES weekly profile, which we will once again look at momentarily here. And a break back into Friday's range likely gets us a move into 40.39, 40.21, which is the initial balance high from Friday. 40.16, and then if 40.16 breaks, we just have only about 5 points below that, the overnight high from last Thursday into Friday. So that is what I will be looking at. And of course, if that 40.11 level breaks, look for a move down to basically 4,000 even. That's Friday's low. It's also Friday's value area low, and it lines up pretty closely with Thursday's high as well. That is the high from the March 2nd regular trading hours session at 39.95 and a quarter. So that's what I will be looking at. We do have this naked POC to the downside here on ES at 39.4850. So if we get some, further and stronger downside pressure, that is where I will be looking. And we would, of course, need to move through this 4,000 level first and foremost. But we've got good confluence here as well at 39.75. So break below here, you could draw a zone here, and you could technically draw a zone between, these two levels here. This overnight POC from March 2nd, and then this is a regular trading hours POC from February 28th, and then a move, down into 39.75 would be likely with a break below this little zone right there. So with that said, let's check out the ES weekly profile. Very, very similar vibes here. Want to see price hold above 40.53. If we get acceptance and we hold above 40.53, that's last week's high. Look for a move to the prior week's high up at 40.81. You can see that's confluent with the prior week's value area low. That's the value area low from February 13th. And then the week of February 6th, before that, we have the value area low at 40.79. So some good confluence there between all three of these levels. Once again, we could draw a nice little zone here, locking in these three levels. So I would say upside pressure very, very likely gets us a test of this area. And, subsequently, probably up to this naked POC that we have on ES at 41.35. If we can remain above 40.85, you see that we have a weekly profile high from January 23rd, the week of January 23rd at 41.09. So a move and hold above 41.09 very, very likely gets us into that naked POC, the upside. But as I always like to say, one level at a time. I think it's very important to just keep these levels in mind once again and not get too strongly biased on either side. We are in between two naked POCs on the weekly here on ES. You can see we have this naked POC to the upside at 41.35 and the naked POC to the downside at 39.16. We are, of course, much closer to the naked POC on the upside, but anything can happen, and we have to keep that in mind. We have to stay flexible. So with that said, let's move on over to the candlestick chart briefly, and I'll just talk about what I'm looking at here on the weekly for ES and NQ. ES up first and foremost. You can see here that, structure's still looking pretty good from a weekly perspective. You can see that, once again, we came in, we put in some bullish divergence on the weekly chart with a higher low, and we haven't confirmed another higher low yet, but we are quite close. So what we need is basically this week's candle to close above last week's high at 40.53. If this candle can close above last week's high, we are confirming yet another higher low, and we have subsequent higher highs. We have a high here, and we have a higher high that we established after that. So what I would be looking for with a confirmation of a local low on the weekly would be a retest and very likely a push through of this high, and I would be looking for a move probably up to this 43.30, 43.40-ish level. So with that said, NQ is a very similar vibe here. You can see that We have not, once again, confirmed a local low, but we are pretty darn close. So I will be looking for on NQ a close above 12,329. That is 12,329. If we get a weekly close this week above that level, we are confirming another higher low, very likely to get us a test of this prior swing high right around 625. And then if we move above 625, I think it's very likely we move into this prior swing high from August around 13,800. So that would very likely get us quite a bit of a larger move. So that is what I have my eye on. You can see the oscillators aren't super conclusive one way or the other on ES or NQ. ES is a little bit more bearish, I will say, because we did confirm bearish divergence, but if we confirm a local low on the weekly, we will negate that bearish divergence and it can be considered as played out. So on NQ, it's, again, inconclusive oscillator-wise. So we're going to have to let just price structure overall lead the way. But once again, we really are, changing behavior. We have changed behavior. I'm confident in saying that on many levels, starting with the candlestick structure, the bullish divergence followed by higher lows, and we have broken out of this downtrend. We have broken out of this probe to the upside and started to put in higher highs and higher lows for the first time in basically a year. So with that said, I hope that this information is valuable to you guys. I hope that you can use it to have a guide and a plan moving into the beginning of the new trading week. We do have a good amount of high impact news events coming as well. So I want you guys to keep that in mind and also be mindful of the fact that when we have high impact news events, that it is typically safer to stay out and not trade until the news has passed. So with that in mind, I want to thank you guys very much, as always, for taking the time to watch this content. If you do enjoy what you see, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and click that bell notification to be notified every single time that we post videos here on the channel. If you guys want to learn more about what we do here at the Trading Network, please check out thetradingnetwork.io, where you can purchase access to our most popular offering, the TTN Pro Trader Bundle, which includes lifetime access to our private Discord, access to our Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, as well as our proprietary indicator package. You can purchase all of those products standalone on our website as well. And we also offer one-on-one trader mentorship if you are looking for a bit more of a tailored and catered experience to your strengths and weaknesses. Thank you guys, as always. I appreciate your time very much. If you have any questions about any of this content or anything that I've mentioned in this video, please feel free to email us at info@thetradingnetwork.io, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you again. I will see you in the next video. Cheers.